Hi there, Kimberly McAlinden here for Knit 123. In issue 7 of the magazine, the technique article is based on ribbing. One thing that I found when I was starting out as a knitter was that my ribbing looked very wonky. And ribbing is used in lots of different techniques in the bottoms of sweaters. You can have an entire garment in ribbing. And I love the way that ribbing is elastic and the way that it feels, the way that it looks. My problem was, and I've seen this in a lot of new knitters, is that their ribbing doesn't line, their stitches don't look even. So this is a 2x2 rib, so we knit 2 stitches and purl 2 stitches. And what would happen is that this first stitch would look really tight and the next stitch would look really, really loose. And so my goal for this article is to maybe give you a couple tips and tricks on how to tighten up that second stitch so that you get this beautiful, even ribbing. The one thing that I learned was I am a thrower. I knew that, but I am a thrower. So what would happen when I executed the purl stitch was that I would go into the stitch and wrap my yarn over. Take a look at how much yarn it takes to get over there. So of course my purl stitches were going to be larger than my knit stitches. What I learned from the great Annie Modisette, designer and teacher, is instead of going up and over the needle for your purl stitch, why not come up and under? Look how much less yarn is used when you do that. The payoff for that is that since this is worked back and forth, is that your knit stitches are now going to be seated with the back leg facing forward. So if you look at this knit stitch, it's asking me to actually go in this way. If I were to force it and go in my normal way of going into the knit stitch, excuse me, you would see, you would feel that it was very tight. It wouldn't be a happy stitch. So what you actually need to do is go into the back of the stitch. Now this is easily learned. It becomes quite second nature. And in the words of Annie Modisette, what she said was, always knit or purl a stitch the way that it presents itself on the needle. So the needle will tell you the way you don't always have to knit it exactly the same way. If the stitch is twisted or it's seated differently, well then just knit it that way. Don't stress about it. So once again, for the thrower folks out there, we're going to come up and under, and then we're going to go into the back leg of the stitch. And I mean, this stitch, boy or girl, is basically telling you to go in this way. You see how you can tell there? Okay. So now for our continental friends, I'm going to make you suffer and watch how poorly of a continental knitter I am. But here we go. So our yarn is in the front. And so basically we're in the purl stage now. We're going to go in and just scoop it up, and then with the back, it couldn't be any easier. I mean, it's just sitting right there waiting for you. So here we come to the front. Come to the front, up and under, and then the back is just smooth. The knit stitches are smooth sailing, I tell you. Okay, and that was enough suffering. Sorry about that. So here we go. I'm going to show you in real time. 2 purl, 2. Now see this knit stitch. Oh, I'm glad this happened because I've probably taped this segment about 50 times, and this is a part where everything's seated differently. So I went to go into the back, but look, this knit stitch is telling me to go into the front leg. So here I go, into the front leg, knitting the stitches as they present themselves to me on the needle. These want to be done in the front leg. And so here we go. Beautiful ribbing. Enjoy!